I am Jessie Brockel, joined by the amazing Ashley Geist, and this is Counselors and Coffee Podcast. Because who doesn't love a little counseling and a hot cup of coffee? We created this space with connection in mind and love exploring topics involving self-growth and wellness. Welcome to a space dedicated to learning and growth, a soft place to land, and a sturdy place to climb. Although we work hard to bring inspirational, educational, and impactful information to you, it does not in any way take the place of counseling or dictate a clinician-client relationship. This podcast is for enjoyment, and we encourage you to consult a professional if needing specific services. Hi, and welcome to Counselors and Coffee, your cozy corner for real talk about mental health, personal growth, and navigating life's ups and downs. I am your host, Jessie Brockel, and I am a licensed professional counselor and coffee enthusiast. I'm here to bring you honest conversations, practical tips, and a tiny bit of encouragement to take into your day. So grab your coffee, settle in, and let's dive into today's episode, the myth of having it all together. Now, there have been many moments in my life when I have felt discouraged due to my perceived lack of progress. And let's be real, it's a normal thought process to constantly evaluate where you are in your life and what you've accomplished. I feel like it is a common myth that we fall into the trap of this idea of having it all together. But I want to pose this question to you, and I want you to reflect on how this shows up for you. Because I'm not sure that we ever feel like we have everything figured out. There is always something that we could be doing more of or a better way of doing the things that we're doing. And this line of thinking, it leaves very little room for peace of mind and gratitude about how far we've come. Case in point, I have been functioning in my private practice pretty successfully, I think. We have a bang-up website. We were doing all the things. But after taking a new training last week and kind of being thoughtful about how this training impacts like the way we're doing things, holy crap, I realized that there are some things that I'm doing that I could be doing a lot better. The evolution of knowledge is actually a gift, guys. It really pushes us beyond our comfort zones and establishes this thought process that everything can be tweaked and we can always push ourselves to do better work. And I'm not just talking about being better than your neighbor or being better than another colleague or person in your field, but there's value in thinking along the lines of doing better for yourself than you may have done the day before. This myth that we should have our act together all the time, I think, is made even more difficult by social media, unrealistic societal expectations, and this culture that we've created around perfectionism. We live in a comparison society, often holding ourselves to standards that don't make sense for who we are and what we're trying to accomplish. This pressure is enormous and often results in us feeling inadequate or filled with fear that we will not live up to the expectations of others. When we actually take a look at our own lives or even the lives of a lot of the people that we think should have it all together, there is an abrupt reality check. Counselors, doctors, lawyers, artists, celebrities, none of us have everything figured out. And I think that's really an important takeaway and thing to keep in mind when we are reflecting on where we're at in our lives. So I just want you to take a second and sit with that for a moment. Have you bought into this idea that you're supposed to have everything figured out? If so, what kinds of feelings do you experience as a result of this? I imagine if you're anything like me, you're probably feeling some shame, guilt, and a heck of a lot of pressure. Chasing this myth of having it all together comes at a serious cost, often both a physical and mental cost, because we all know that when we are mentally struggling, it impacts our biology and our physical well-being. Those mental struggles can include increased anxiety and worries. It can also include isolation and stepping back from activities that we used to enjoy. And let's not forget about that crazy little voice in our head called self-criticism. Yeah, you guys know which one I'm talking about. The voice that knows exactly what to say to cut us at our deepest core. Now, physically, these emotions can translate into physical challenges like headaches, stomach aches, lack of motivation, and a severe hit to our self-confidence. These physical challenges caused by increased emotional states are what we refer to as somatic symptoms. And boy, can they wreak havoc on our lives. Before I truly understood my own mental health struggles, including increased anxiety, I would often go to my doctor seeking information. Like, why is my body revolting? Why is it acting this way? And thank goodness that my primary care provider was also really smart and educated around mental health. And he was the one to explain to me why some of these things were occurring. Of course, as a counselor, I have learned to become more in tune with the way my mental health challenges impact my body. But it takes constant effort on my part to not only identify and understand my feelings, but to also actively integrate coping skills to be able to regulate. And guys, this isn't a one-off thing. This is a practice that you have to put into your daily lives. So what if any physical challenges have you had as a direct result of mental health stress? Do you feel lethargic, fatigued, or even have a high sickness rate? If so, are any of these connected to some of the mental health stresses that you have in your life? Knowledge is power. The beautiful thing about talking through some of these myths, including this idea that we have to have everything perfect and have it all together, is being able to reframe or deconstruct this idea or belief that we've had. And guys, this is where the good stuff happens. We do not always have to align with things that we've learned throughout our lives. We get to be thoughtful about the things that we have aligned with, and if it is not serving us, we absolutely get to redefine what we want our lives and our beliefs to look like. Now, this isn't easy. This is really, really hard because often our values and beliefs come from role models and our family dynamics from when we're younger. And a lot of times we just adopt those as part of who we are. But guess what? As adults, we get to go back to the drawing board and ask ourselves if these values or beliefs really fit and if they're serving us. And if they aren't, guess what we get to do? We get to redefine. So what if we could reframe that sticky, unhelpful thought of I need to have it all together to a different kind of definition that is compassionate and empowering? What if having it together could actually mean managing imperfection with grace, resilience, and humor? Does it feel any different? Heck yes. So if you're wondering, how do I begin? Let's talk about a few of my favorite ideas. So self-compassion exercises can be a great way to create space for some of the feelings that you're having. And it also helps to create self-compassion in allowing yourself the room that you need to grow at your unique pace. Now, you probably heard me say you a lot in this sentence, because when we're talking about perception and the way we think about things, really it comes down to what you believe and your thoughts and feelings about it, not outside perspectives. So my first idea for increasing our self-compassion is to write yourself a letter from the perspective of someone who loves you unconditionally. Now, hopefully all of you have somebody out there who is able to show you that kind of love. But in this letter, I want you to really pay attention to acknowledging the struggles that you're facing. Make sure that you double down and you remind yourself of your value and your worth, even when things are hard. And the third part, offer yourself words of kindness and encouragement. Now, this is a great technique to do, and then save it for when you're having a tough day and then read it back. a go-to self-compassion letter ready for some of your most challenging days. You guys don't even know how many times I've done this. My second idea is permission slips. In this exercise, we write ourselves permission slips for what we need that day. So channel your inner student and take yourself back to a time when we had to get permission slips for absolutely everything. Bathroom permission slip? Check. Leaving early for a doctor's appointment? Permission slip? Check. This is the same concept. Now let's talk about what those permission slips might say. Permission slip idea number 1. Today, I give myself permission to rest. That gives me all the feels. Today, I give myself permission to not have all the answers. Wow. And finally, today, I give myself permission to feel what I feel. This last one can also be a great journal prompt, guys. It allows us to explore what we're feeling, as well as engage in some of that self-talk to grant ourselves permission to feel that way. If you try one thing from today's episode, maybe try putting your hand over your heart and just reminding yourself, I am allowed to struggle and I am still worthy. That little moment of self-compassion can be a game changer. I leave you guys with a little nudge of encouragement. If today you're feeling messy, undone, or behind, you are actually doing life right. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today on Counselors and Coffee. And if you'd enjoyed this episode, feel free to share it with a friend or leave a review. It helps others find their way here too. And remember, if you're looking for extra support, you can always connect with us at the Support Circle. Until next time, take care of yourself, be kind to your mind, and I will see you back here soon.